some of you know the story, and some of you have heard it before, but it was interesting. We had a guy in the church that worked in the Department of Education. And two quick stories. One, that he had a brand new polyester suit. Some of y'all may remember this. And he smoked cigars. That was back in the days when clergy were not asked not to smoke because we didn't know anything about the danger of smoking. But a lot of the hierarchy smoked. And one day we were downtown at Walgreens, and he came by with his new polyester suit on, smoking a cigar. And I said to my buddy, I said, watch this, it's going to be funny. I said, morning, Brother Dave, and he stuck the cigar in his pocket. And the smoke was coming out of the pocket, you know. And he wanted to keep on going. I said, oh, wait just a minute. We need to talk a little bit. And he said, well, I'm in a big, just a minute, you know, like that. And so when I came home, I told Pat about it, and she said, shame on you. She said, you know that polyester suit could have flamed up? She said, that man could have been hurt or he could have been naked, either way, you know. Well, he was called to do a series of educational conferences out in Dallas. And he was a little tight with the money, and always tried to get the best deal. And he found out that Piedmont could get him from here to Dallas $25 cheaper. So he took Piedmont. The only problem was they had to go in different places, and, it wasn't straight through. And so he got in Arkansas, and there was a snowstorm, and they got, the flights all got canceled. So the conference that he was supposed to speak to was all gathered together, and they read a telegram from him, and it said, my dear brothers and sisters, I have learned that in whatsoever state I find myself, therewith to be content. I'm writing this from Arkansas. Hey, how about it? How about you? How about me? The world is with us. The realities of life and death, of sickness, of wellness, all of it. How do we live? How do we respond in a world like that? In a world where there's lots of ugly, isn't it interesting that you see a scripture here right in the beginning that says, rejoice and be gentle? How unique is that in a time like this? How unique is it to be able to respond with kindness to someone who speaks with unkindness? What about remembering that the Lord is always near? Somebody said the other day, why doesn't God do something about it? And you know what the response was? God's doing something about it. And the person said, through who? And the respondent said, through you, because you just asked where God was. So you need to be God's instrument in that given moment. The peace of God, which passes all understanding. The peace of God is not an account that you have in the bank that you draw whenever you feel like it. The peace of God is that amazing gift of divine presence, of divine security, of divine being with you in the midst of the battle. When the doctor comes into the office with a long face and you know you're in trouble, and she sits down and says, it is malignant and it is squamous. And I, who am a very human being and was afraid to go into the office, all of a sudden am at peace. That's the peace that passes understanding. Some of you shaking your heads in this place know exactly what we're talking about. It's the peace that is larger than the circumstance. It's the peace that is larger than the challenge. It's the peace that's larger than life itself. It's the kind of peace that is with us, the kind of peace that stays with us. And so I've learned to be content. How about you? Whether it's an up day or a down day. Ever since Granddaddy's gone to heaven, every time we sit at the table together, we start every morning by whoever we're with and wherever we are, by lifting our glasses and saying, top of the world, encima del mundo, He always loved that. Ask Granddaddy how he felt on top of the world, I'm working on responses to that. How do you handle that? Some people say, how you doing? I'm just fine, You shouldn't lie like that in public. Of course, if you really are, that's great, But here's a good one. How you doing today? Here's another one. Grateful. That's it. Trying to get up to the top of the world. Whether it's up or down, whether it's a good day or whether it's a bad day. You know what makes a good day? This morning on the way, getting ready to come over here, and I flipped the phone on real quick so I could turn it off so it wouldn't ring during the service. You remember the time I was telling the congregation about they should have their phones turned off during the service and mine rang? So that's why I turned it off. And I looked down there, and this was a comment. We took our group to from Parkway Hills, United Methodist Church, to the synagogue on Friday night for the Jewish worship service, and the first prayer was for you by name. It doesn't make any difference how down you are. When you know that God is near and that God is still alive and active and working through people, it's going to pick you up, and it's going to help you a great deal. And you know, God's with us whether we're strong or whether we're weak. The world always tells us we have to be strong. I was a choir director at the other little church that I served before I came here, and our favorite song was Be Strong. We are not here to play, to dream, to drift. We have hard work to do and load to lift. Shun not the battle, face it. 'Tis God's gift. Be strong. Be strong. And strength is an amazing thing, but strength is also a gift that God gives us. It's not something that we possess. It's something that we discover. It's something that we find. It's something that we are able to practice along the way. So, whatever and wherever. Last week when we knew, you don't go into a doctor's office hurting like all get out and know that nothing's wrong. We knew that we had to say something. And when I knew it was my turn to preach at 8:30, I said, what I'm going to preach on is whatever and wherever. So whatever it is and wherever it happens, I know in my heart and am grateful in my own walk of faith that God is with me, that I'm not alone. But I'm a very, very rich man because I also know that many of you are also with me and with each one of us who has to walk through the meaning of human existence. That is a glorious wealth. That is a beautiful reality. And that is a grand truth. That's it. I would like for us to close it this morning by doing something we never do, but it's so brief. For the conclusion, will you get your bulletin out and turn to whatever and wherever on the back? And we're going to read this together as our conclusion to the message. Then I think James is going to take us back to the joy of singing. Let's read. Life comes with difficulties, complexities, and great joys. Learning to rejoice in spite of everything is a gift of the Spirit. Finding contentment in the midst of trials, problems, and challenges, given by the Spirit, not the flesh. When given by that Spirit, we have plenty in every situation and strength for all our times of weakness. We can do all things through him that strengthens us. All things. God bless you, babe.